It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
Hello and welcome. He is Gary McNamara. I'm Eric Harley as we move into a Friday. Last day of February. Gary, how are you?
The Dogs of February.
What?
It's a song. It's a song by a Canadian band, but there's a tariff on the CD now.
Right. If you listen to it, Trump is going to deport you, even if you're an American. Oh, he also signed a new executive order. The name of the country will be the American United States of America.
I did see, it was some conservative. It was a Trump supporter that posted do you want Canada to be a 51st state?
Uh-huh.
Thank you for some sanity there, because it was like, are you out of your mind? Exactly the points we made. Who the hell wants a new state that would be right now the second biggest state in the United States?
Yeah.
Where you would have two more liberal senators and way more liberal Congress people. You would throw the balance of power in Congress to the Democrats.
I say we invade Hawaii.
Good God. I mean, it's like,
let's take that as our
well, I mean, it's
state.
so stupid. Stop it. I mean, a joke. I think it's the country group. Country group. It's basically Johnny Van Zant and his brother Donnie. So it's 38 Special Skinnerd. Van Zant. What were the lyrics there? Don't tell a joke more than once, or it's not funny. Mm-hmm. So stop repeating the.
That's what I used to tell the guys in Aerosmith.
Well, no, when you're the president of the United States, stop saying something that the majority of people who voted for you would not want.
Well, it went viral, and that was the feedback. That was the response. Let it go. You let it lie. You let it do its own thing and fizzle out on the internet. Everybody knows it's not going to happen. You know it's not going to happen. I told you off the air yesterday. It's like, I don't know, pick a relative, usually older, shows up, for an event, family event, and they tell a joke, and one person in the room laughs. So they go around telling the same joke, and everybody can hear them doing it, to each individual looking to get the laughter. Well, it's played out. Everyone who was going to laugh has already laughed. Time to move on. Plus, we don't want Canada. No offense to our friends in Alberta, but you guys need to come down here. If there's going to be an invasion, we want you guys from Alberta and Texas. You know about oil.
Well, I was going to say that
conservative principles.
You should be able to get, since you're about oil, you should be able to get the gold card.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and no offense, but we don't have tar sand oil. We have sweet crude. There's a reason they call it sweet. You ever taste it? It's awesome.
Our oil is better than yours.
Yeah.
You have tar sands. We have light, sweet crude.
Tar sands. That's what we call Galveston Beach on a bad day. Come on, give it up. Come to Texas.
Oh, my Canadian relatives are going to be upset at me.
I know. I'm going to be disowned by probably nobody, actually.
So let's make this the last week we talk about Canada, the 51st state, because nobody wants it.
Well, look, the prize is Greenland, and we are coming through Canada to get it. But,
well, did I hear the president say, "Oh, we got the deal done with Ukraine. We don't need Greenland now."
Right, exactly. Next is Venezuela. Yeah. We're just going to move on.
He's doing the right thing there.
Yeah. Putin is wrong for grabbing land. We're taking Ukraine also. It's just a joke. Don't write me an email. You know he's not taking Ukraine. We know. We've talked about it. Listen to the show. It's a podcast. Red Eye Radio. You can download the app. It's free on the Play Store or whatever they call it.
Well, it was an interesting day yesterday because it was really the online surrogates, the absolute always Trumper, because there's the never Trump, never Trumpers.
Yeah.
The always Trumpers that were absolutely livid about the release of the Epstein phone book or Rolodex.
Which didn't reveal much.
No, it didn't. And it was all the show around it that infuriated. You know, I couldn't believe I burst out laughing because this all happened right before I went to sleep, and I said, okay, I got to go to sleep. I cannot, because I've got to sleep before I come in. That's the number one thing I've got to do. And so I saw before I went to sleep one person on social media, one of Trump's surrogates, fire Bondi. And then the other one, fire Cash Patel. And it was like, oh, my God.
I saw someone say, we're going to primary Cash Patel. And I was like, that's not how it works. By the way.
Who said that? Touré?
Yeah, probably. That's so funny. I was thinking about that earlier at home when I was sitting shopping. I was thinking of the Touré thing, and I was like, that was so embarrassing.
That went viral yesterday.
Yeah.
That went, yeah.
You know, people back in the newsroom, like when that segment ended, like everybody was off the air and everything. I was like, at the coffee at the water cooler. For those under 90, a water cooler was this thing. Never mind. Getting coffee in the break. So, Touré, how's your day going? Because it was just embarrassingly bad. By the way, so back to the Epstein thing, just very quickly.
Yeah.
There was nothing revealing. I think one of the big controversies because of the names, the associations, right? Michael Jackson was associated with Epstein. No. The biggest controversy is that Epstein was associated with Michael Jackson.
Yeah, what's the worst?
That's
there?
That's the controversy. If anyone took their own life, and I'm not saying because they're both deceased, and I don't, want to get into that. But if anybody took their own life, let's just look at that picture all together.
You know what the funniest thing was when you came in and you asked me. You just said, did anybody put together a conspiracy theory with Gene Hackman and the Epstein thing coming out the next day? And I went, yeah, I saw it. You went, no way. And I said, it's out there.
Because I thought to myself, well, the timing of it all. Well, they did this on purpose. Who's they?
This entire thing. Again, there were a couple of things. You saw the president yesterday correcting the self-inflicted shot of saying last week or the week before that Zelensky was a dictator, and now he's what I said that So I don't remember saying that. So he backed off on.
Did I say that?
Yeah, did I do that? And so I went, okay, he realizes it.
Yeah.
Whether it was that, so he's backtracked on both those things. You don't need to have self-inflicted shots. They do not help the negotiating. It doesn't help. You can win every negotiation by telling the truth.
Yeah.
You don't need to say things. You don't need to clean up, especially when you're going to have enough problems with Democrats.
Yeah.
Don't do these self-inflicted, and it was totally self-inflicted yesterday. I mean, when it was, I couldn't believe, and these are all pro-Trump people, and I call them the always Trumpers. There's the never Trumpers, there's the always Trumpers, that no matter what, they were, they're not always Trumpers anymore because they were furious. And the one thing that really infuriated everyone that I saw on social media was the photo shoot. It was like, what the hell is this? This is about children being sexually exploited.
Yeah.
What the hell are you holding these files up and smiling?
Yeah.
And then you do all that, and then there's nothing. It's a nothing burger. You don't get anything. That was totally it is. I believe that, and by the way, the always Trumpers on this are correct. When the point is, we can't trust government. They won't be transparent. Mm-hmm. So one of the things they've looked at is the JFK assassination, because there's a great point there. Why can't you release everything from the JFK assassination?
All these years later.
Well, because of security. Stop it.
Yeah.
It's, what is it, 62 years, 63 years?
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There is no security. You can't make that case. Release it. Why won't you release it? And it's like the public has a right to know. You said you're going to be transparent. We want that. Now, we'll see what happens with that one. But the other one was the Epstein file. Well, all you have to do is release it. If there's nothing there, that's not on you.
Right,
you released it.
Right.
I was reading. Did you read it? It was a National Review. I forgot who wrote it, that said you're never going to see it because of tradecraft, that Epstein was involved in intelligence agencies, and they're not going to release that information that relates to intelligence agencies or what he might be doing. So don't. Well, then you need, before you sit there and say, as Bondi did 2 days ago, it's sick. It's sick. Mm-hmm. And then you get to it, and it's like, well, there's nothing here. And then the marketing, and this is what you have to watch it. This is the Trump administration. Everything of symbolism has to be backed by substance. Mm-hmm. It just can't be symbolism. You cannot throw symbolism at Republican and Trump supporters right now. Just throw out the symbolism, and then you're waiting for the meat, and it's not there.
Well, don't do something to get it off the to-do list. That's what it felt like. Here's what we promised. Here it is. Well, that's really not what was implied.
And still not.
And to National Review's point, we're not going to see most of it. And I didn't expect that we were going to see a client list or whatever, whatever they want to call it. The association list was something, most of that was divulged during the Maxwell trial.
Yeah.
So
the stuff they knew.
This is stuff that was already out there. It's just being essentially re-released by somebody else.
But it's like with everything going on, and you're promoting constantly. Every day they promote, we're being transparent, well, then don't promote something, because when she came out and said, oh, it's sick, I went, oh, boy, I thought maybe they will have the list, the full list of, who took the airplane rides out there or whatever, or whatever they have. I don't know what they have.
Right.
The as I call them, the ATs, always Trumpers were saying, we want everything. We want the files. We want the videos. We want the pictures. We want everything because you said you're going to be transparent. And this wasn't hard. You didn't need to release it yesterday. You could have said, look, we're reviewing it. Be honest with it. Say, what we have right now is this. Before you release it, say, we don't believe we have everything.
Well, that's the first thing I would have said. You're going to have to be clear every step along the way. Be careful of what your expectations are, because there's a lot of stuff that we don't have.
Well, and then when it was, I blame the FBI, then it became the Southern District of New York. They're two different entities.
Right.
Who's keeping it? The FBI or the Southern District of New York, which is part of your Justice Department.
Right, exactly.
So it doesn't make sense. You can't. But the thing is, it's not nobody's going to blame you for whatever's in the report.
No, that's the thing.
That's the thing. There's no blame.
There's nobody saying you're trying to cover anything up. Don't make it look that way.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
There's nobody that would say, well, the Trump administration is trying to cover it up. No, there's stuff we're going to learn, stuff we're not going to learn, and be very clear. Talk like adults every step along the way. Right.
And again, it wasn't Democrats blasting them.
No.
It was the most loyal Trump supporters that you can find.
Right.
Which I found very interesting, because I was like, okay, they need to find out where this is and get it done. But in my mind, I hadn't thought, fire Bondi now, fire Kash Patel now. I'm like, whoa, that was quick.
Yeah.
Democrats are going, oh, this may be easier than we think.
Yeah.
On something that is not going to be blamed on Republicans or Bondi or Kash Patel or Trump or anything. There is no losing position by just telling everybody the truth.
Well, it's you don't have ownership of any of it. You just have possession of information, which is, again, the entire reason of every step along the way. You should let everybody know we don't have everything. There's things we don't know. And much of what you're going to see has already been seen. So here's what we're going to release.
And the fury from the Trump supporters, especially with the photo op. The photo op was that was cringeworthy. Mm-hmm. That was like, this is supposed to be the file on children that have been sexually abused, raped. This is sex trafficking.
Like I said the other day, this is about the victims.
Right. You don't hold it up and smile.
Right.
God, they just don't get it. Or she didn't get it, Bondi, because that should. Right. Well, the White House should have never allowed that to happen.
Right. Yeah, you don't have ownership, so you don't get the blame, right. But you also don't take the credit, and that's what it looked like. Aha, with the smile. No, that's not what this is about.
Right. 866-90 Red Eye.
This report is brought to you by Shell Rotella. With advanced synthetic technology, is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance. Tires command a lot of attention. As a top expense for drivers and a leading cause of CSA violations, any tire maintenance practice that can help extend tire life is worth consideration. Consider tire balancing, which can set you up for savings and a smoother ride before your tires touch the highway. Tire balancing corrects an uneven distribution of weight in tires and wheel assemblies and offers benefits like improved fuel economy, increased tire life, and reduced vibration. Unusual shaking in the seat, cab, or steering wheel is a warning sign your tires might need to be balanced.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90 Red Eye on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. You didn't think anything could beat, we played the audio cut yesterday with CNN, and it was the former MSNBC host, Teray and Scott Jennings. He just destroyed him. He couldn't, had no idea. They have no idea how the government runs at all. The thing that gave us so much entertainment from that, and we'll play that because that could be one of our audio cuts of the week. Yeah. Is because Teray was saying, because Scott Jennings asked him, he said, well, what are you talking about? This is a fascist authoritarian government. They're taking over the military. They're taking over the FBI. He goes, well, he's the president. He has the authority. He was elected to do that. What do you mean by that? You know, and there was just a blank stare on his face. Well, what he's going to do is he's going to appoint somebody in the military, in the FBI, that then is going to do things that are unconstitutional.
Yeah, right.
What?
Just making it up.
It's like you're making this up as you go along. Well, Joy Behar might have beat that yesterday.
Okay. If anybody can do it.
Oh, my gosh. She may have beat that yesterday. I wonder if it was a legal notice yet. She just didn't say it was a legal notice. But she just came back and said, oh, okay. And completely clueless.
You know, hold on a second. That's a good point. Is there a conflict within, because they're under ABC News, within the ABC News management department of, look, every time they say that they have to read a legal note, that looks embarrassing. Oh, just tell them to read the notes.
Yeah.
So are they doing it now without saying it's a legal note? That's a great point.
Now, she didn't read. She was just didn't look like, well, she could have been reading off the teleprompter. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah.
But she wasn't looking down. Or we'll have that coming up. The audio is just,
wow.
From the Uniden America Studios.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Yeah, so I think there's a lesson to be learned from what happened yesterday, especially with how they released the Epstein phone book, Rolodex, whatever you wish to call it, because you got a lot of absolutely loyal Trump supporters who voted for him because they wanted transparency. Mm-hmm. And they look at, the issues of, not that many people say, well, it's not the most important thing. Doesn't matter. It's a thing where it is the symbolism with substance, because there's substance in there also. Mm-hmm. But it's the symbolism of the fact that you said we're going to be transparent.
Yeah, and look, there's what you're looking at is the political payoff. All right, so you have different voters and supporters that had different priorities in terms of what they wanted you to do. But the transparency thing is important always to all of them. And you have to temper the expectations. That's on you. Because when you come out and promise big and you deliver something that's basically stuff that was regurgitated from the trial, effectively, the Maxwell trial, then there's no real payoff. Politically.
Levitt, I'm going to guess every single time she's up there, she promotes how transparent we are. Mm-hmm, yeah. And then when the left hits the administration, you're not being transparent. Yes, we are. Here's what we said here. You're wrong. We are being transparent. Mm-hmm. So to have your own newly confirmed attorney general promote this and then say it's sick, and then they're holding the binders and smiling that they've got it, and you end up being criticized by some of your most loyal supporters. That's self-inflicted. Mm-hmm. And then that on top of Trump backing off on the whole dictator thing last week. It was a week ago Friday, that he backed off on Zelensky started the war. These are all self-inflicted things. And when you have, for example, when you're promoting, and we said, we've told Elon Musk, and by the way, I told you in our pre-show meeting, Rishi Ramaswamy was the spokesperson for Doge. Mm-hmm. But when you have them out there promising these incredible $2 trillion a year savings and talking about it, and then you have, you saw yesterday, the Senate. The story was out there. The senators are in there saying, well, cut, but don't cut from my state.
Right. Yeah.
Don't oversell the potential of what you can do. Let the American public know, because what you had from the last administration, I don't think that a lot of people in Washington and Republicans understand the American public and how livid they were that they were not only lied to but gaslighted by the Democrats. There is a sensitivity that I believe exists out there with the people, and that's the reason they said, nope, Trump's it.
Yeah.
Because he's going to be a straight shooter. He's going to tell us, what we can do and what we can't do. He's going to be blunt and honest. And so when you start talking about, as we had said, you're not going to save $2 trillion a year. It's not going to happen.
Right.
And if you're looking at it right now, at the even what they're looking at, the hope is maybe $200 billion a year. And you and I had said those figures. We said, well, if you could actually cut $100 billion off the budget, that would be the most monumental thing ever. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But the fact is, if you're selling $2 trillion and you can't get there, and then you're opening yourself up again. That's something else that's self-inflicted. Mm-hmm. Think about this. The Democrats have not won anything here over the last month and a half.
Right. Yeah.
Anything that you look at where you say, oh, wow, why did they do that, is self-inflicted. Mm-hmm. Stop with the self-inflicted political gunshot wounds.
Right.
It's not. Now, I don't think to this point it's harmed them. This is simply a warning for the future. Because if you release everything, of what you have with the Epstein files in the next couple of days and say, this is all we have, then all is forgiven. It's just what happened yesterday should not have happened.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the whole cutting thing, when you have the senators up there saying, well, these cuts are coming to my state, that's the problem that you have with cutting anything.
Yeah,
Everybody
right.
wants to cut, except if it's going to affect their turf.
Yeah, I mean, that's something you and I have covered for years. It's, bloat, wasteful spending. Yeah, we need to end that. Okay, we're going to start with your neighborhood. Whoa, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And that's the reaction you're always going to get. No, cut that other neighborhood. They're the ones wasting all the money. The one 3 blocks away. It's politically always difficult, which is why it's never been done.
Yeah, there's a reason it's never been done.
There is a reason it hasn't ever been done. Because politically, it's damaging once you actually do it. Welfare reform, we talk about it. Welfare reform, it was tapping the brakes. In terms of getting on top of our fiscal situation as a nation, it's never been done. It's not going to be done in my lifetime. It's just not.
So are you not going to live as long as me? Because will it happen in my
No,
lifetime?
I'm going to live a lot longer. That's what I'm saying. That's much years longer than you'll be living. No, it's it's not. It's just not going to happen because the moment you actually start making the cuts, who is it that really has? I mean, who's left of us? How many? I don't know how you even prove that the people would really, in the end, the very relatively small group of us fiscal conservatives, and I mean true fiscal conservatives that know we must take the pain now because the greater pain later eventually for this nation will be catastrophic for the nation.
Well, I saw that I think it was a Fox News headline that on massive voting no on the budget, where he said doesn't do anything. Did you see Ron Paul's? Ron Paul had an ex post where he was saying, not Ron,
yeah,
where he just said this budget they have isn't going to do anything to cut anything.
Right.
It spends a lot more.
Right. Yeah.
And the headline, I believe it was Fox. The headline was massive votes against $4.5 million tax cuts, or $4.5 trillion tax cuts. And it was like, well, that's not why he voted against it. He voted against it because there are no cuts. It spends a lot more. And so on one hand, the president made the call to ensure that they pass this. And again, we'll wait till the eventual bill comes out when they deal with the Senate. But when you look at what the House passed, and again, Trump on one hand talking about we're cutting like crazy, yet he made the last calls to Congress to make sure they got this through, which was the right move. Again, this is just a warning that you're promising all these incredible savings, yet the budget that exists right now from the House doesn't get you there. It doesn't even start to get you there.
Yeah.
And that's the problem that you have. That's the real world.
Yeah.
There's the world of words, then there's the words of actually doing it.
Well, and it's why likely they pulled it before they went to the final vote on the House floor the other day, and Trump had to make those calls. It's likely because
it was.
You've got too many conservatives, actual conservatives, saying this spends more money. Now, it is bothersome that it's very problematic that if the president made the calls and said, and it's believed that he made the calls and said, hey, the cuts will be coming. There will be, well, you can't keep saying that because these are individuals who are up for re-election every 2 years, and he's never going to run for office again. And you're trying to build a legacy. You've really got to do the work in this 4 years, and there's a lot of it to be done. I don't know where it goes. I honestly don't, because I just don't have the confidence. You and I have been doing this too long. I don't have the confidence that there's going to be anything measurable. I love the conversation that Doge is bringing to the table and the actions that Doge is bringing to the table. That's a great thing because at least we're talking about it again. But talk means nothing if we can't get it done.
All right, how long have I totally been paying attention upon? Let me see. I was paying attention when I was about 16. So we will go, let me see. Almost 54 years I've been paying attention, and we're 0 for 54.
Yeah.
In cutting the budget.
Yeah.
And so, that's now, but I agree with you. Yeah, it had to be done, and I think it took a lot of guts for the president to sit there and go, we've got to do this. We at least attempt to have to do it. But just be honest with the American public. Let them know what the hurdles are that you face. Yeah, right, the one question I would have was in the House bill where they say, okay, but we're going to cut over $800 billion, which would still give you an increase in the deficit and debt, by the way, over the next 10 years.
Yeah.
But we're going to cut this. Well, that's still to be determined what they're going to cut. Right. It's in the bill. We're going to cut this, but it's not listed what they're going to cut. And you and I looked at it and said, why don't you just cut the 900 billion for the Inflation Reduction Act?
Well, in that, because that's something that's not even, it's not like you're taking money away. That was built on incentivizing people, the consumer, to do certain things. Right. So you're really not cutting in a way that you're going to going into a neighborhood saying, hey, we're going to have to cut all these things. It's something politically you should have been able to get done pretty quickly.
Right. I mean, and you could do it through reconciliation because it was passed with reconciliation.
Right.
So is that going to be in the bill? Will the Senate want that in the bill if they go further? We'll see. But they're not promoting the fact, look, we've got the automatic. Wouldn't you be promoting that every day?
Yeah.
We got the $800 billion that's going to be gone from the Inflation Reduction Act.
Right.
Because, as we all know, they lied about that.
Right.
And you can sell that to the American public because the American public knows that the Inflation Reduction Act had nothing to do with inflation reduction.
Right.
So, it's, again, it's tough. I credit the president and Musk for what they're doing. Just don't oversell to the American public, because if you don't, there could be pain 2 years from now and 4 years from now because of it.
Well, and because if this team can't get it done, something measurable, some good things even, then it won't get done.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. We'll have the accusation from Joy Behar, and then the sort of apology or correction when yesterday she said that Musk was pro-apartheid.
Yeah.
I mean, she's totally her anti-immigrant bigotry was all over the place yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
But she called him a foreign agent, and then they had to tell her that he's an American citizen. She didn't know that. I mean, complete. Yeah. Now, but wait till you hear why she says her show is so important. You're gonna, because we're dealing with children. And by the way, we said yesterday that it's so entertaining when we look at the left right now, because they're like children, and children are funny. I get a response. You're right. Children are funny.
Yeah.
Oh, and Jeffrey sent us I think it was an email, and said the Trump administration needs to underpromise and overdeliver.
No, that's a perfect way to, and it's exactly what I was thinking. Jeffrey, we appreciate that. And Diane sent us the email with children are funny. It's the only reason I ever wanted children. I want to be entertained. Bring me more grapes. Yeah, and we're dealing with children. The whole Ture thing was funny and also embarrassing.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is, speaking of children, it's like back in school when the one kid got up and just botched the school report or answered a question and it was incredibly incorrect. And everyone's going, oh, even I knew that one. And it's just watching this whole thing play out. But you know what? You, Ture, and anybody else are in the arena of public ideas. If you can't do it, then don't enter the arena.
Top of the hour news is brought to you by House Products. Visit houseproducts.com.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. We is he and me. Hi, I'm Gary McNamara. He's Eric Harley.
Hi. We have a legal note. Lawyers say it's he and I. Now they're correcting grammar.
The red eye pronouns.
Yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure that we get those correct.
I like she he out of Montana during that one Senate hearing. He goes, he goes. Well, I'm she he, so on the pronouns. That was funny.
The best one I ever saw was a fake Michael Jackson social media page, yeah. And it said he. That was the best ever. I mean,
he. Yeah.
Are you making fun of pronouns? Absolutely.
Yeah. Yes, we are.
Yes, we are.
We are. Nothing to do with the whole transgender thing. We're just making fun of them in general because I hated Schoolhouse Rock.
Oh, my gosh.
That wasn't real rock. The band for Schoolhouse Rock sucked. Singer was pretty good, though.
All right, so I'm looking at the Babylon Bee every day. I used to look like once a month. And then it was once a week. Now it's every single day.
I know. Yeah.
White House cheerleading squad loads Epstein files into T-shirt cannons and launches them into the crowd.
Oh, my gosh. Wow. No. Okay, that's the perfect way, I guess, comedically to sum it up, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
That was
T-shirt cannons. Oh, my gosh.
That was the one that.
Wow.
That was the one that got me yesterday.
Yeah.
So that was the only one that got me yesterday when I saw the Babylon Bee. That was like, okay. That's a good one. All right, you ready to go?
What do we got?
All right. First off, let's the media coverage to the left now. You know, the thing is, we don't need Joy Reid. There's enough insanity. We don't need Joy Reid. We have Joy Behar.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Here's what she said yesterday.
All right.
And then we'll play this, and then her having to backtrack later on. Here we go.
Okay.
And Elon Musk kisses his butt and strokes his tiny ego or big ego, whatever it is. And he doesn't get to he can take a nap while the guy who's not born in this country, who was born under apartheid in South Africa, so has that mentality going on. He was pro-apartheid, as I understand it.
He's a naturalized citizen.
Right.
Now.
He's a naturalized citizen.
Now he's a naturalized citizen.
Oh, really? How did he do that? Did he come over the border legally?
He had an H-1B visa, I believe.
He flew in.
Yeah, he allegedly overstayed that visa.
Yeah, but I think this is just perfectly wonderful for Trump. He can take a nap and let this foreign agent, an enemy of the United States, do his job.
Anybody?
Zero hyperbole.
All facts.
That's what you get. Nothing but the truth.
Oh,
The hard, cold truth on The View. They should just change it to The Truth.
All right, now the backtrack. As we're saying, the legal notice, even though she didn't say legal notice.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
That now I'm getting some flack because I said that Musk was pro-apartheid. I don't really know for sure if he was. He grew up at that time when apartheid was in full bloom before the great Nelson Mandela fixed that. He was around at that time, but maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. He might have been a young guy, too.
Might have been.
So don't be suing me, okay, Elon? They're allowed to say any lie they want, but we have to be really strict. That's why this show's important.
Yeah.
So we have to be really strict. No. What you meant to say was we have to be really corrected often.
Yeah, I mean, this is the beautiful thing. They're clapping. It's like, what did she communicate? Because we all know I have never, if there has been, I would report it, but I don't know ever in the history of broadcasting where a opinionated show have lawyers not on retainer,
Right.
but monitoring the show in order to correct the hosts in order that ABC doesn't get sued for defamation.
Never seen it.
I've never seen this in my entire life.
I've never seen it.
And she's saying because we lie, but the lawyers correct us, that's why we're an important show.
Yeah.
Because we get so much wrong.
Yeah.
And
she's claiming to be on higher moral ground.
Yes.
While she's correcting the lies she just told.
Right.
That's who we are.
Because his family was
lie and then we correct it.
Yeah,
that's what we do.
His family was anti-apartheid.
Yeah. And that had to have been their lawyers telling her to say that.
Yeah.
Because remember the whole thing with Sunny Hostin when, she just got to where she was practically rolling her eyes and she's got that, that look she gets in her face where she's angry. Oh, no, she always has that look. Never mind. She's sitting there and being defiant against the legal note thing. And then Whoopi said the one time, yeah, I see you looking at me. So management probably came in and said, let's not make it a spectacle.
Well, there was a story out last
it.
week about that, that they've been, that they're furious about the legal notes.
Oh, yeah, there was no doubt.
They denied it. They denied it. But the story said.
We knew they were. I mean, you could tell on the air they were showing that. They were demonstrating that very clearly. That's not, that's something you could actually see. They can deny it all they want. But then again, I mean, they're known for the truth. So if they say they didn't, they weren't upset over it, we have to believe them. But I believe you're onto something. I believe that was a legal note. I believe if your management, and there's the pushback from your on-air people, it's probably the middle ground is, okay, as long as you come in and correct it, you don't have to say legal note.
Right. Yep. So, correction, I said this before, I don't have any evidence of it.
Right.
And because I'm correcting my earlier lie, that's why this show is important.
Now, if the judge in that Rachel Maddow case said, well, nobody takes anything as the truth, what would that same judge say about The View?
Right.
But, no, I think that's probably maybe something that behind the scenes, because, Stephanopoulos isn't happy. And it...
Smoopy?
Schmoopy. Yeah.
Schmoopy's husband isn't happy?
Yeah.
In case you didn't know it, if you've ever seen the Schmoopy episode of Seinfeld, the woman actress is George Stephanopoulos' wife.
Yeah, and that was
Allie Wentworth.
Yeah,
Allie
and
Wentworth.
the pet name was Schmoopy.
Schmoopy. Oh, Schmoopy.
When she was dating Jerry,
and that was their public affection that drove George nuts.
Yeah.
So
but I do believe that that's probably. I think there's a decent chance that's the case at ABC News. They were just quit making it. Don't say legal note, but just make the correction.
Let's pretend you're correcting yourself and you're not being forced to do it.
That's
because you aim for accuracy.
Yeah, that's probably, closer to you're probably closer to it right there. Let us take the credit for correcting ourselves and being thoughtful, because everyone knows The View, they're nothing if not thoughtful.
Now, the thing I love the most is forget about, the enemy of the United States, that he's this foreign agent, that he's pro-apartheid. The bigger message she was trying to sell you is Trump doesn't do any work. Trump is that Elon Musk does it, so Trump doesn't need to do anything because Trump isn't doing anything. He's sitting behind the scenes just relaxing.
That's right.
She's trying to sell that to the American people. To me was actually the best part of it. I mean, the defamation stuff. Mm-hmm. I mean, I expect that. But what the bigger message she was trying to sell is the only reason Elon Musk is there is so that Trump doesn't have to do anything.
Yeah, right.
I mean, they're just making crap up as they go along.
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
Well, and
what are they microdosing on The View? Oops. Excuse me. No. Legal note. I have no evidence that they are microdosing anything.
Yeah. We can only say it seems like they're not of their right mind. It seems, but maybe we're wrong.
I want to make this clear. That was not a legal note. I corrected myself. If management had to pay for a lawyer to consistently monitor our show, we would be fired. They are not going to go through that expense.
Right. Exactly. It's bizarre that happens. It's bizarre that that's actually in place. But it's kind of what you get, right? I think that honestly, when you look at the whole thing, in relation to Elon Musk, you and I were kind of thinking the same thing. The communication on the Doge thing, let Musk do the work. If the one thing about Ramaswamy, you and I had the conversation in the pre-show meeting, you mentioned it on the show earlier, Ramaswamy running for governor in Ohio, he's not a part of Doge anymore. Don't know if it's, we don't know what philosophical differences, if any, there were. It's said that there were some. He's still a great communicator. But you want someone also like that as governor of a state like Ohio. So, I guess the timing wasn't right. But there's going to have to be, the communications are going to have to be consistent. They're not anywhere close to a failing grade. But the Epstein thing was not great.
No, but
it's not a good look.
But there were two wonderful things that happened yesterday. Mm. First, the announcement that they're going to sign the deal tomorrow, because in my mind, for all intents and purposes, that's the indication that the war is going to end very soon. Because now Trump has an interest in it. There's a direct interest in the United States with this deal here. And also, let me get what Trump said yesterday. Again, backing off on the dictator and backing off as, when he said last week that, that he started, that Zelensky started the war. This from the New York Post. President Trump has spoken nicely about Vladimir Putin as he brokers a peace deal, but he's also gently letting Putin know he'll need to make some real concessions, too. Ukraine should get its land back. On Wednesday, Trump told reporters he aims to make the best deal we can with both sides, which for Ukraine means getting as much back as possible because, as I was reading yesterday, a lot of the land that Russia took, the minerals are there. The rare earth minerals are there. And, that's awesome. And the other thing is all of the cartel members that arrived last night from Mexico, including one cartel member that killed a DEA agent back in the 80s.
Yeah.
Was it over 20?
Yeah.
Cartel members have been extradited to the United States. That's unbelievable. That shows you that Mexico, for whatever they say publicly, that the negotiations are working. And, if the United States deems them a terrorist organization, we want them to face justice here in the United States.
Yep.
And so 2 huge things, because when I saw, okay, Zelensky's coming in, it is going to be signed tomorrow, everybody's agreed to it, I went, for all intents and purposes, this is the beginning of the end of the war.
Yep.
And now Trump is on Ukraine's side.
Yeah, right, yeah. Well, and look, we have a shared interest now.
We've got skin in the game.
Yep. So
I never thought I'd say that on the air.
Well, and that's the thing that you want in a situation like this, because you're not going to war with Putin, but you're sending a loud message. Don't even rock that boat. Yeah. We now have a shared interest with Ukraine.
866-98-RED-I.
Brought to you by FPPF, Fuel Power Max.
Independents with carrier authority should be mindful that negotiation strength varies as the week progresses. Typically, the highest rates across major segments are paid for loads negotiated on Sundays, and the highest volume of loads for all segments is seen on Mondays. Also, the weekday that tends to be the best for flatbed negotiations, yielding the best rates. Owner-operators tend to have less negotiation strength on Tuesday, which shows the lowest weekday spread between brokers' offered rates and actual paid rates. Broker offers tend to rise by Wednesday as the end of the week is in sight. This day also seems optimal for the 3 o'clock hustle, so called for its reliance on that afternoon time of day, when brokers are getting nervous, to improve negotiation strength. Stay mindful of this system to maximize your revenue. Owner-Operator Business 101 is provided by Overdrive's Partners in Business program. Go to overdriveonline.com to the Partners in Business section of the website for more details on this and many other topics. Brought to you by Shell Rotella, with advanced synthetic technology is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Remember during the campaign when Democrats were caught on the fact that the only way to secure the border was comprehensive immigration reform?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Came from Ron DeSantis yesterday. We'll have some audio from him.
Yeah.
Where he came out and he said that. He goes, remember that? Remember when they said the only way to stop the problems at the border was comprehensive immigration reform? And Trump said, nope, you don't need that. All you have to do is do it. It's great audio coming up. But as we talk about Joy Behar, talking about Musk being anti-apartheid and all that, I started thinking about the bigotry, the racism, the anti-Semitism that exists in the Democratic Party that's institutionalized, as we have talked about many, many times before. When anybody asks me, I love it when a Democrat will ask me, they'll say, well, racism is systemic. And I go, you're absolutely right. Not only is it systemic, it's institutionalized.
Yep.
Really? Yep. You believe that as a Republican? Absolutely. That's the Democratic Party.
Yep.
Shocking Gallup survey finds 60% of Democrats are anti-Israel, the first time ever for a major U.S. political party. More than half of Democrats are anti-Israel. Only 33% of Dems surveyed by Gallup said that they have a favorable view of Israel, with a whopping 60% saying they view the Jewish state unfavorably, and 4% had no opinion. Again, when we look at it, identity politics, judging people by groups and not as individuals. We've talked about that before. That's the racism of identity politics that is institutionalized and systemic in the Democratic Party.
Yep.
The anti-Semitism was clear since October 7th.
Yep.
Absolutely clear that it's the Democrats, and it's a majority of the Democrats that are anti-Semitic. They hate Jews.
Yep.
And we all know the misogyny of the radical transgender movement.
Yep.
Catch all 5 hours of the show live every night on the Red Eye Radio app. Available in the App Store. Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thanks so much for being here. So there you go. There's the Gallup poll. 60% of Democrats are anti-Israel. First time ever for a major political party. It's the first time ever that a Gallup survey showed a majority of members of a Maine U.S. political party having a negative opinion of the Jewish state, with the question being asked since 1989. By comparison, 83% of Republicans say they had a favorable view of Israel, 13% unfavorable, 4%, I don't know. Gallup said, quote, "This year marks the first time any party group that has had a major level unfavorable rating of Israel, with 60% of Democrats expressing that view. Overall, 54% of Americans surveyed had a favorable view of Israel, 41% unfavorable. That's almost, as we say, split along political lines.
Yeah.
Wow. So there you go. I mean, as we've said before, that's where it comes from. That's promoted by the Democratic Party. That was promoted since October 7th.
Yep.
And whether it was Biden, whether it was Harris, whether it was AOC or the Squad, before the Squad got cut in half, the anti-Semitism, the Jewish hatred. Yep. It gathers a hold of people in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And it's reprehensible that it does, but not surprising. Not surprising. As we said, and we've been saying this for years, to no pushback at all when you explain it. The identity politics of the Democrats is racism. They're judging people by groups and not individuals. That's a Neanderthal mindset that we thought was gone decades ago. It is entrenched in the Democratic Party.
Yep.
The racism of identity politics, the racism of anti-Semitism, Semitism.
Wow.
That's a new spice I put on my toast.
Uh-huh.
Cinnamonism toast. And the absolute misogyny of the radical transgender movement, the women hatred. And that's why you see a Democratic Party that is spiraling out of control. When it comes to the radical transgender movement, what happened in Maine, really since last week, was last Friday, it was a week ago.
Yeah.
Where the president called out the governor of Maine on the radical transgender movement.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then you had that representative this week that was censured in Maine because she noted that the male pole vaulter won the state championship against women.
Yeah.
And so she was censured for bringing that out. And she can't vote.
Nope.
In the state legislature.
Nope.
She cannot vote. And she cannot speak. And we said, this thing's going to blow up. And you had, there was a reporter that was, that night went around to ask Democrats, so you believe that men should compete against women? Not one would answer the question. They walked away. They know they can't win this. This thing blew up in Maine this week.
Yeah.
This is Representative Liz Caruso presenting a bill to provide equal opportunity for female athletes in Maine and bring the state into compliance with Trump's executive order to keep men out of women's sports. Behind her, all women, all girls, all women. You see young girls, teenage girls, adult women, all standing behind her.
Yeah.
They can't win this.
Nope.
But I'm going to play a little bit of audio that happened this week. Here we go.
This is about every student athlete being seen, safe, and able to play competitive sports on a level field. This is what this bill will do and why it's a win-win for all Mainers. The last few days of media coverage in Maine have made it feel like Maine is deeply divided over the issue of school sports. But in reality, Mainers and Americans alike are more united on this issue than any other. Denying biological reality and allowing males to compete on female athletic teams has been a huge setback for women. We cannot allow ourselves to become second-class citizens anywhere, let alone our own sports teams. Without single-sex sports, there can be no equal athletic opportunities. Male athletes have won more than 3,600 victories and over 6,000 top 3 finishes in female competitions, impacting more than 11,000 competitions. Unsurprisingly, the policies that have allowed males into female sports were never adopted with the input of female athletes nor the advocates for female sports. But it's also about their safety. A United Nations report found that females are far more likely to sustain injuries of all kinds when playing against males, and much more likely to incur severe injuries such as broken bones, concussions, and severe brain injury, knocked out teeth, and skull fractures. And females are losing medals and podiums, losing scholarships and the ability to receive top-tier educational opportunities. They're being forced to change their clothes in front of males, and they're being forced to see male genitalia in their own locker rooms. Both are sexual harassment.
Duh.
Yeah.
One of the best things that the Democrats ever did to promote that movement in Maine, to promote the movement of women playing women's sports and men playing men's sports, was them censuring her.
Yeah.
By doing,
Thanks for bringing that to the surface.
By doing that, it just went boom.
Yep.
Because you can't win it. And the Democrats know they can't win it, which is why when reporters have confronted Democrats in Maine on this, they all run. They run away.
Yeah, they do.
Well, we can't talk. We can't talk now. We can't. They know they can't win it, yet they stick to it. Think about it, how insane that is. These people are adults. They're not children. They think like children, but they're actually adults.
Yeah.
And they sit there and they say, all right, we're going to do this, and doggone it, you can't vote anymore. You can't speak anymore. And the Republicans are saying, none of this. When we talk about what are the rules for censuring somebody, this doesn't apply. This doesn't apply at all.
Yeah.
You're just doing this. It is anti-democratic also. And you just sit there and you think, they know they're wrong. That's why they won't talk to a reporter, because if you know you're right on an issue, you'll stand in front of a reporter and say, no, men should play women's sports.
Right.
And they won't do it. They know they're wrong, and they keep doubling down on it. They know they're wrong on the racism of identity politics. They know they're wrong judging people by groups and not individuals. They know.
Yep.
They know now.
Yep.
They know now after everything at MSNBC that the whole concept of critical race theory, privilege, everything else is coming back to bite them in the butt.
Yep.
I mean, that was the best ever with Keith Olbermann going after Rachel Maddow.
Yeah.
basically saying, she's the privileged white woman.
Right.
She's the racist.
Right.
Well, you all are.
Right. Yeah, she's a racist, says the white guy. Yeah.
It's just great stuff.
He's screaming, she's a racist. She's screaming, my company's a racist.
It's beautiful. Now, we predicted all this would happen.
Of course.
You and I predicted this a long time ago.
The liberal circular firing squad is what we have called it. Well, that's the whole point is eventually it's coming at you.
It's a Friday, so it seems like what we do on a Friday is just clean up everything during the week, which means play a lot of the audio cuts that we didn't get an opportunity to play.
Yeah.
This is Ron DeSantis, and this is great. And the president should be saying this constantly. Every single day when it comes to what's happening at the border. For example, he should say it tomorrow based on the fact of all the cartel members coming back about the border. But this is beautiful because it reminds people of the lie that Democrats were telling about the border. And you want to point out your successes. You always want to point out the other party's failures and the other party's lies that they told you. Here it is.
And I do think it should be said, when President Trump was running against Kamala Harris, and they had a debate about the border, Harris said, because the border was what it was, there was a lot of legacy media that tried to act like it wasn't a big deal, but people saw what was happening. So it wasn't credible to say that it wasn't happening. So what Harris said was, well, we wanted an immigration bill and you guys helped tank it. That would have helped us secure the border. And then candidate Trump turned to her and said, you don't need a bill, just do it. So he became president, and what happened? Did he need a bill to secure our country? No, he just did it. And so you have a 94% drop in border crossings since January 20th and year over year, however you want to do it. That's remarkable. That shows what Biden and Harris were saying was not true. They were selling you snake oil. You didn't need legislation. You just needed a determined president. So I think that's a great success story already.
There you go. Yeah.
We've been screaming. They already have laws on the books. It's just do the job. You have to have the political will to do the job. And, of course, the former administration had the political will to do the opposite. They wanted to open the borders, and they did just that. So now this is the mode we're in, and they're getting great results.
Yeah.
Make the Border Patrol the Border Patrol again. Not hard. Because they made them into border processors. That's what it was. And it's maddening. It really is. Just maddening. But I'm glad we're at this, at this point. That was right up there with the economy. Now we have to get to work on the economy. When it comes to the issues and why people voted for Trump, those were the two: the border, the economy.
Yep. Yeah.
You got to get on the economy. And
that's a challenge.
Right.
That will be a challenge for this administration. Did I see that was there a economic number out there on GDP yesterday?
Oh, what was it that came out
yesterday?
Hold on.
I just thought about that now when you brought it up.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. GDP's second reading was out for Q4.
For the fourth quarter?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That was the fourth quarter. That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. That's what I thought was out yesterday.
Right.
All right.
Yeah, and it's
okay.
2.3, which was what was expected. So yeah. All right. Yeah. I think again you're going to get into what the GOP wants to do and what you can do. You know, we talked about it earlier about the House bill and how it was going down the other day. Well, there's a reason. The conservatives want to cut, but if you actually cut, you're going to have political pain. And where do you go with it? Well, conservatives, when they look at the bill, no, this is actually spending more. We can't do this. It's, you can't win for losing. We said coming into this, there are going to be some things that are going to be extremely difficult to tackle. That's the biggest.
866-90 Red Eye.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Yesterday we did that story about the minimum wage in California and even the Service Employees Union that represents some fast food workers, even agreeing, it's killed a ton of jobs and accelerated automation. We did that story yesterday. Pick up, going through the headlines. California advances new fast food wage hike proposal as restaurant owners struggle to hold on. So the day after that report comes out that people are losing their jobs, they're going to more automation, they're not selling as much fast food. California wants to increase the minimum wage for fast food workers more.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, it's just...
Keep it going. Just keep it going. Why not?
We'll have that more coming up.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning.
Hello.
I was reading that Gavin Newsom's going to have his own podcast. He's starting a new podcast. He said he is inviting MAGA favorites. Let's see who he invites in.
Okay.
Would he invite in a JD Vance? Would he invite in a DeSantis? I'm just throwing those names out. I'm not saying DeSantis is MAGA. I'm just talking about the Republicans and the Trump supporters that will destroy him in every argument that he has because DeSantis already did it once.
Well, I think it's going to be limited at best. I'm guessing the attempt here.
Oh, we know what the attempt is, but go ahead.
No, go ahead. Tell us what the attempt is.
He's trying to rehabilitate himself for 2028.
Yep, I think that's it.
By the way, we did not discuss this beforehand.
No, I think that's
right.
Well, but the approach is, which is what I'm getting at. The approach is not a debate stage. Let's just sit down on a podcast and, we can talk, because in his promo, he says, I'm going to have on people that I disagree with and also people I look up to. That's how he phrased it. Mm-hmm. Well, you can't do it on a debate stage. You can't get it done. We've seen that catastrophe. And his problem is he's got that nervous smile when he's being owned on a debate stage.
Mm-hmm.
The approach here is that they believe they can control that environment. Well, it's control the environment. It's your podcast. They'll be in your house. Forgetting the fact that conservatives don't care. They can discuss the ideas anytime and anywhere. And the last place you want to get owned is in your own house.
Yeah, that's the thing I thought of. You know the first thing I thought of? When I heard Gavin Newsom's going to do a podcast and bring on, Republicans or Trump supporters, whoever they might be. We'll see if he brings the ones who know how to articulate every single issue out there, like a JD Vance or a DeSantis, or most members of the president's cabinet right now.
Right, yeah.
Or is he going to bring in populist, somebody who's a blogger, somebody who's, a influencer or whatever? Is he going to bring in the people that really can articulate the issues on the right, or a lot of the populists on the right that cannot articulate as well? Because if he brings in the people, if he brings in a JD Vance, he gets owned. The first thing I thought of was, wow, he's going to do a podcast? All right, now Eric and I have more material now that Joy Reid is gone.
Oh, it's going to be great. I hope he has liquor and cigars and wears weird sunshades like Bill Maher. What's that? What is that? And can we do away with the paneling in the background, the wood paneling? We don't believe you're sitting in a barn.
Looks like his basement, which is why I wonder why he hasn't had Keith Olbermann on yet.
Maybe he's in Olbermann's basement. But the approach is that, again, you think you can better control the conversation. That if you just do a conversational thing, a podcast, everybody's doing it. I mean, welcome to 2004, Newsom. It's not going to work if you bring on conservatives, true conservatives. Bring on Scott Jennings.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Bring on Ramaswamy. Bring on JD Vance.
Right. Yeah. Thanks for adding more.
Mm-hmm. Listen, my next guest is somebody who is a Republican. Please welcome Liz Cheney.
No, I was thinking, now we're bringing on MAGA. Here's Laura Loomer.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, that's what I'm thinking, because I'm thinking there's no way that debate that he had against DeSantis, he got smoked.
And you don't, I'll tell you, you don't want to lose a conversation like that and a debate like that in your own house. Trust me, I'm married. It hurts. It happens quite a bit.
You didn't even refer to our show. You referred to your personal life.
Losing on your own grounds. It's oh man. It's the Cowboys will tell you it's not fun.
Well, you do bring up a point that I remember so well when I first became a talk show host and was forced to be a talk show host. I'm probably unlike anyone else in the business. I did not say, I want to be a radio talk show host.
Yeah.
It's not where I thought my career was going at all. I was in music radio and doing stand-up comedy. A little bit of stand-up comedy. Not a lot, but a little on the side. And I was, so talk radio was, and the owner of the radio station made me do it. The number one thing that I thought of, tomorrow I have to go on. I didn't want to do this. I haven't prepared for this. And I have to go on, and people are going to say things that I disagree with. How do I respond? How do I not embarrass myself because I haven't articulated the issues in my head? I cannot get owned in my own house. But I wasn't prepared. So I would, you just stay away from things. I would go, well, I have no idea what the hell's going on here, so I'm not going to comment on it because I may be wrong. And I remember at times, there were a few times when callers would come and own me, and I was trying to, sort of slither out of it.
Yeah.
Because you're so embarrassed. You can feel it. You're getting owned in your own home. That's the thing. He cannot debate somebody who is articulate on conservative principles. He can't.
No, you can't. And you can't do it because the idea would be he's the host, right? And so he can do the wraparound to go back and here's a question. Is he going to have legal notes?
Well, I'll say this about Bill Maher. You and I both said this about some of the guests. They get on there, they wimp out.
That's another thing. The approach, because that's the approach. Right. You're kind of expecting in that setting they'll wimp out. Yeah. I don't expect that JD Vance or a Ramaswamy would do that, or Scott Jennings. Now, there may be some niceties. There is no personal hatred here. You're just wrong.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, and you kind of look like the character from Despicable Me, but we're not going to get into that part of it. The more you age, it's the personal attacks that will not be a part of it. The idea is that you can do your own wraparound as a host, and my question would be, the thing about podcasts is that they're not live; they can be edited. Rogan doesn't edit. That's what I think a lot of people love about it. They just, boom, roll. Even if somebody's got to go take a break to go to the restroom, okay, we'll wait on you. It rarely happens because it's a 3-hour marathon of a thing. But there's a reason he did this. He got into this with the Kamala Harris thing, when the Kamala Harris team clearly was lying about the whole thing and was setting it up to where there was no way that Rogan was going to meet their ridiculous standards for her being on. But you see a lot of podcasts that are heavily edited, and I'm waiting for them to do the, at the end where, because he's a current governor, at least for now, and do at the end kind of a, well, to wrap up today's pod, where the guest isn't there any longer.
Right.
But
you said it, the wraparound. I lead, then I end.
Yeah, and if you're going to bookend it that way, well, that's not how it's done in the arena of public ideas.
And the other thing is, too, Gavin Newsom believes in all the insane ideas of the Democrats.
Right.
And we what they are. That's not over-the-top rhetoric at all. What they believe, the whole men, women sports, whether it's climate change, whether it's taxes, whether it's lying about how economics works. Mm-hmm. He is one of the leaders of the Democratic Party in doing that.
Yeah.
And so what he's trying to do is, I believe he's trying to say, well, guys, we're just going to have a discussion. There's no yelling. Don't be blunt. Don't call the other one a liar. Don't do this. These are the rules that we're setting up. We want to have a nice discussion. Mm-hmm. Look, the time for nice discussions are over. The time for bluntness on the insane issues. One of the reasons that the Democrats got to this particular point was because Republicans didn't want to discuss a lot of this stuff. You and I know.
Yeah.
On the radical transgender movement, just to use that as an example, because it's such a great example, when we would bring it up, our own listeners would say, you guys are doing the slippery slope thing. But every single thing we said ended up coming true. Yep. Every single thing. And now it's a major issue. It became a major issue because Republicans didn't close it down from day one.
Right.
Because it was a very easy argument to win.
Yep.
And so this whole thing that, we're going to have friendly discussions, so they're not going to be friendly discussions. You're insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're trying to tell me that a man can become a woman if the man says so.
Right.
I mean, that it's self-evident that's not true. I'm not going to sit there and listen to, well, don't you understand? Or I'm not going to let you deflect, because deflection is
Right.
the biggest
Right.
thing there.
Right.
Well, yeah, then you're hurting people.
Right.
And it's like, sorry, I'm going at it. The time, the time for niceties is over. The things that you believe, you lied to us on the border. You lied to us on Afghanistan. You're lying about sex. And so the time to sit there and say, well, if you wish to have a discussion on, whether we should have $1 trillion in debt or $500 billion in debt, I guess you can be nice about that. But I don't want to be nice about that even, because being nice and everybody coming to an agreement and bipartisanship put us in this money crap hole that we're in right now with unsustainable debt and interest on the debt that is now projected to be $1.2 trillion, just interest on the debt in October. That's what niceties got.
And, you hear it in the promo that Newsom did for his podcast. People I disagree with, and also people I look up to. He doesn't realize what he just exposed about himself and a lot of liberals, and that is they believe that if you disagree with them, that it's disrespectful. Setting up this environment where, again, you're on his podcast and disagreeing would be disrespectful. If somebody invites me on their podcast, expect me to just tell the truth. It has nothing to do with whether I respect you, admire you, or agree with you. You ask me a question or we get into a topic, we're going to talk about it. And I'm going to tell what I believe is the truth. And I think the thing, too, is he needs a much better setting than a debate stage where you can't sit and Google things. Think about that I think people actually like is that Rogan will say, something happened and blah, 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 blah. And hold on, fact check me on that, Jamie. He'll tell his producer to actually look something up and see if he was accurate on that, right? There was a story about find that story, Jamie. Well, Newsom or his team may believe that, look, we'll have the setting where we can control and we don't step into it too far and we just maybe make the other side look bad. Sorry, it's not going to go that way. And I can't wait for some of the audio because it's going to be great to play it on this show.
Well, there's two problems here. Number one, it doesn't matter whether it's Gavin Newsom. They can't debate and they can't argue their own points. Mm-hmm. They can't. And number two, the other problem is he can't be owned in his own house. Otherwise, it doesn't last long.
Right.
Those are the problems for Newsom.
Yep.
866-98 Red Eye.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
Red Eye Radio, he's Eric Harley and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Let's play this audio from, this is yesterday with the president and vice president meeting with the prime minister of Great Britain, and listen to this back and forth because they get into the discussion about JD Vance, and the speech he gave, was it last week before, on free speech in Europe. Here's this back and forth.
Great. Look, I said what I said, which is that we do have, of course, a special relationship with our friends in the UK and also with some of our European allies. But we also know that there have been infringements on free speech that actually affect not just the British. Of course, what the British do in their own country is up to them, but also affect American technology companies and, by extension, American citizens. So that is something that we'll talk about today at lunch.
We've had free speech for a very, very long time in the United Kingdom, and it will last for a very, very long time. Well, no, I mean, certainly we wouldn't want to reach across US citizens, and we don't, and that's absolutely right. But in relation to free speech in the UK, I'm very proud of our...
and that ended that. I'm sure the discussion was different. It's like, well, you can call it free speech, but it's not.
Yeah.
It may be Britain free speech.
Right.
It's not United States free speech.
Yeah, no, I love that when other nations talk about free speech. It's like, right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, in Great Britain, we do not yet. In the UK, we don't charge you to speak, so it is free speech. You're not getting charged.
You're not getting taxed for speaking.
We're not taxing you on your speech, so it's free. Your speech is free.
Now, if you complain about the taxes will tax you more, and technically that's taxing you for talking, but that's a whole different thing, because nobody ever complains about taxation in Britain.
There would be a tax on speech if they fine you for a meme.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's not a tax. That's a penalty.
Right.
I think we dealt with that with Obamacare at one point, didn't we?
We did. Chief Justice Roberts would probably agree with you.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
Roberts said it.
Right. Same thing. Penalty, tax, whatever.
It's like we're very proud of our free speech. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
You've got some people in the UK going crazy. What the hell are you doing?
Right. He forgot the words lack of.
Right, exactly. So that was
free speech. Are you kidding me? Yeah.
And it was very friendly and respectful right there.
Yeah.
Trump did turn to him when he started talking about, we're very proud of free speech. Trump turns his head and looks at him like, stop BSing here.
Yeah, right.
They live the life. They walk the walk. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. Red Eye Radio.
I'm not doing any walking.
Oh, I don't know what life I'm living. They live the life and they walk the walk. My arthritis in my ankle is killing me.
We need some legal notes on that one.
Right.
To be clear, our lawyers say that Eric and Gary aren't doing any walking in life. Technically, yeah, but is it much of one? I don't know. Probably not.
I saw this yesterday. This was an op-ed piece in the Wall Street Journal.
Yeah.
And it's from Jed Rubenfeld, who is a Yale law professor.
Oh, okay.
And
so he knows things.
And it seems like it seems like not a insane radical leftist.
Oh.
Because this is really interesting. It goes, Congress can easily greenlight DOJ. A simple sentence in the reconciliation bill would solve all these legal concerns that are going on right now.
Okay.
And that's a great point. The firestorm over President Trump's alleged executive overreach and most of the court cases challenging it could largely disappear if a single sentence were added to the soon-to-be-passed reconciliation bill. And it would be, quote, notwithstanding any other provision of law for fiscal years 25-26, the president is hereby authorized and directed to identify and eliminate at least $500 billion in waste, fraud, and abuse in federal spending by auditing expenditures, discharging employees or officers, canceling grants, and reducing or eliminating agencies and departments. Now, I believe he already has the ability to do that.
Yeah, I think so.
Under the Constitution.
Right.
But if you put that in, it takes away any cases right now and stops the delays. Because of the, waiting for, temporary restraining orders or whatever.
Yeah.
Or for it to get up to the Supreme Court. So I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, you and I have talked about the fact, and it really started on the whole, Epstein thing. It's like, don't overpromise and underdeliver, even if for a day. And as Jeffrey wrote it to us, he goes, no, what they need to do is under promise and over deliver. That's
right.
what that's what gets you there. And the whole Epstein thing was a debacle yesterday because you had all these, and these were Trump people. This wasn't criticism from the Democrats, as we started out the show with. These are criticism from some of Trump's most loyal supporters who want transparency, and they want it to start with things that they view as being pretty easy, what the government has on Epstein and the JFK.
Yeah.
Right. We're poll. What do they have on the JFK assassination? These things should be easy to do. And so when you had Bondi come out the other day, the Attorney General, and she said, we're going to release it. This is sick. And then there they are waiving the files. And then really, we already knew all this stuff. This isn't anything we didn't know. It's like all of a sudden, boom. The question was, and these are all Trump supporters asking the questions, why didn't she say yesterday that we don't really have anything yet? There's a lot more we need. We'll release what we have, but still it's being delayed. Why did you wait until after it was released that you said that?
Right, yeah.
And so we've also said, look, on the whole Doge thing, because, I just saw that, they're talking about, well, we need to make it legislation so people can get back $5,000 when Musk cuts, or identifies, and then we're able to cut $2 trillion a year off the budget. You're never going to see that $5,000 in your lifetime.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we need to make that into legislation, and we said, look, don't overpromise. You're not going to cut $2 trillion a year. We hope, and we've seen in the the budget that the House has, there's no cutting $2 trillion.
Nope.
There's no cutting $200 billion. There's no cutting $200 million. Overall on the overall budget, not that you don't cut certain aspects of it, but we're talking about the entire budget as a whole, which is the promise. Don't overpromise and underdeliver. Underdeliver, excuse me, underpromise and overdeliver.
Right, yeah.
And I wonder if they looked at that, because we were talking about in the first week where they're saying, with this cutting and this and billions and billions and billions, and then we went to the Doge website and it's like $55 billion. And we had a lot of people call. They go, oh, that's what they've saved. I go, well, that's what they've listed as saving. What it ends up being is what the budget is. It doesn't matter what you say. You can sit there and say, in my purse, I've cut out beer. I've cut out beer and cigarettes in my budget, and so I'm going to save $50,000 a year. I drink a lot of beer.
Well, cigarettes might get you the $50,000. I don't know what they cost.
You're right. Yeah. Cigarettes might get you there.
Depending on how much you smoke.
But at the end of the year, your budget has increased overall. Even with the cutting out of cigarettes and beer, it's still the budget. That's all. That's the only thing that matters is, can you cut it out overall? You had the governors, senators, Republican senators, talking to the White House yesterday saying, you can't cut in our state.
Right.
And so the problem is there, but I wonder if the White House realized it, because Rapid Response put this out yesterday. The Treasury Secretary, Vance, was on with Larry Kudlow, and here's what he had to say. Here we go.
I'm a deficit hawk, but we are not going to be able to do this all at once. We are left with a terrible situation, 6.7%, 6.9% deficits to GDP, and we're going to bring this down slowly, reprivatize the American economy, reinvigorate the regulated banking system, and the private sector.
Now, that was put out, that audio cut from Rapid Response 47, which is the official, White House X page, to Rapid Response to anything out there. And so what they're saying is, okay, they wanted to promote, we're going to bring this down slowly. A little bit of a different message than you could have taken the first 3 weeks of Doge.
Right. Yep.
And so that's just the reality, and deal with reality. I think the public can handle the reality.
Yeah.
But don't overpromise is like all the things are going to be taken care of. Just waste and fraud will take out $2 trillion a year.
Mm-hmm.
No, it won't.
You're building someone's wish list. You know, if you're a fiscal conservative, you're building a wish list that if you're also a fiscal conservative, you know is not going to happen. So who are you trying to appeal to? Because fiscal conservatives know you're not being realistic. Yeah, we'd love to see $2 trillion in cuts.
Oh,
but we know it's not going to happen. And so you go, the underpromise, just do the work. Because any progress you make is going to be seen as good.
Mm-hmm.
The conversation that we're having about spending is great. I wasn't fully expecting that to happen, at least not before Doge was done, July of next year.
Yeah, and we'll repeat again because we both agree. The president, because this is from the president. This isn't from Congress.
Mm-hmm.
These aren't from the president of the United States is doing this. Trump doing this. I'll say his name so it ticks off people on the left.
Yeah.
Trump even attempting this is utterly fantastic. It's one of the greatest things I've seen done because it hasn't been done. And as we said, the first couple of years until you get to January 4th of next year is explaining to the American public where all the waste is. Hopefully you can get rid of a ton of it. But even if you get rid of a ton of it, you've still got to stop the spending that Congress is doing, and that's the tough part. Our point is simply don't overpromise. One of the things, and that died down, was they didn't say it, but it was the message was taken by many surrogates that there are tens of millions of people collecting Social Security that should not be.
Mm-hmm.
They're not saying that anymore. What they're saying is they're still listed as active, not that they're collecting.
Right. The accounts are active, right. and there's no evidence that you have tens of millions of people collecting that shouldn't be.
Right. So don't get yourself, and I know there's enthusiasm when you start out a new administration and all that, and you have people that aren't familiar with how you should be marketing. One of them would be Elon Musk, I guess. By the way, who's still up? I just saw you posted 8 minutes ago saying
he doesn't sleep.
He just said he finished 8 minutes ago, the Joe Rogan podcast.
Oh.
So they were up late in the morning.
Well, yeah, because Rogan's Club would be closing probably about now, but if Rogan was doing a set, it would be probably after the it's often done late at night, those podcast sessions. So
no, see, I didn't. I always figured it was done during the day.
Sometimes I think, but a lot of it is. Yeah. I guess when your guest is available, right?
But it's all good. None of this is lasting damage on the administration, by the way.
Right. No.
This can all be corrected in the first couple of weeks, and people forget about it as they see that you're making progress and you're still looking at the waste and everything else. And then you say, look, we've identified this. The Democrats are going to court to stop it. And as I said, well, wait a minute, just let Congress write that one line. If that's true from the law professor, that one line changes everything. You can expedite the stuff you need to do, which is the cutting, and the executive branch can do what they want and have successes, and then tell the American public Congress has to do their job.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's, again, you risk losing credibility on the fundamental things that you're already winning. You're not trying to win people over. You already did that. This administration, this team has already won everybody, not everybody, but won the majority of people over. And you're winning on that. So don't, again, overpromise and underdeliver. Don't promise at all. Promise you're going to do the work every day. That's it. Because the results, I think, will be great. And then everything that comes in as a plus, you get to take credit for. And you won't have to take that credit. It will be given to you. And that's the way you should approach it. Come in, you list the things that you're finding every single day. You do an update as they've been doing. Here's what we're finding. Here's what we're finding. Here's what we're finding. Put it out there. Put it out there like the Twitter files and the way that was happening. You know, the Doge thing has been a lot like the Twitter files when we talk about fraud. Well, keep that approach going. Expose the things that are going on so that you keep the conversation going and it shows you're doing the work. And I believe the rest will come naturally because the pressure will then build more and more for the House and Senate to do something.
866-90 Red Eye.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Oh, my. Some of the responses, Eric, that I saw yesterday to Michael Moore and his claim that deported illegal immigrants could have cured cancer.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. One was, then let's address abortion.
You have to do is stop there.
Right.
Brilliant. I love it.
And the other one was, I think it was Kaylee McEnany who said this yesterday, quote, well, then Michael Moore is free to visit the quantum computing and particle physics labs that MS-13 and TDA and the cartels are now going to have to set up back home.
Right. Yeah. Wow. I love it. By the way, that whole, hey, okay, let's talk abortion. You know, the guys with Freakonomics, they tried to pose that, and a liberal friend of mine tried to pose that argument to me. Well, the thing about abortions is that it can benefit a society because if they grow up in a poor family, they're going to be a drain on society and could get into, criminal activity and blah, blah, blah. I said, wow, you guys on the left just go full on bat soup crazy, don't you? And he looked at me. We were at an event, but we were in a car together, just me and him, and we had like a 30-minute drive. And I said, let's break this down. And I just shredded that whole idea. That's how liberal minds think. Because that's, Michael Moore kind of applying that too. Well, they could have. Or if it's something that they're like abortion with the guys at Freakonomics, they were saying, well, see, it's a good thing because if they do anything, they go so far radical and crazy to justify their positions. It's insane. By the way, I had a thought the other day. Roger Waters. He's the Michael Moore of rock and roll.
Ah!
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning.
Hello.
Thank you for being here.
Thanks a lot.
I'm just reading here from Jonathan Turley. Prime Minister Starmer just told Brett Baer of free speech in the UK that they guarded preciously and said that we don't believe in censoring speech. For those of us in the free speech community, it is a maddening interview given the systemic rollback on free speech in the UK. Starmer and his party have eviscerated free speech in the UK. This is a country that has prosecuted virtual thought crimes with laws that are perfectly Orwellian. And it is, by the way, it is true.
Yeah.
They have yielded to every temptation to silence opposing views. To hear Starmer claim that they champion free speech is jaw-dropping.
Wow.
You know, you had Vance over there going after Europe for free speech.
Yeah.
Well, we shouldn't be telling them. Sure, we should be.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We should be promoting our Constitution on a consistent basis. Yep. You know, one of the things that I found really interesting, and it was a history lesson the first time I went and visited the Alamo, that it was fascinating to see, a lot of people don't know this, that after the U.S. Constitution was formed, and you look in the 1800s, how many countries wanted to base their Constitution on the American Constitution.
Yeah.
It was amazing. They go through all the list of countries. Fascinating when I saw that. Interesting because you didn't think that's what you'd see at the Alamo, and you did.
The thing I was fascinated most about the Alamo, because I lived in San Antonio for a while, is how many different keychains you could sell under one roof.
You know what I thought? I mean, how with all those skyscrapers around the Alamo, how did the Mexicans get in there? You know,
right?
I mean, it's in the middle of a huge city.
How'd they get past SeaWorld?
There's huge, tall buildings all over the place.
Right.
There are only certain streets that they could have gotten into the Alamo.
Right.
Jeez, I wonder why they couldn't stop them. You know, you realize, I think that a lot of people in the United States take the Bill of Rights for granted, take the Constitution for granted.
Mm-hmm.
They don't realize when you see what's happening in Great Britain and parts of Europe when it comes to free speech, when you see Canada, what's going on in free speech. You know, remember the one father that was jailed because he wouldn't use the proper pronouns? It is absolutely frightening. The interesting thing is the places where things are being done by government that actually are leading them to an authoritative fascist state is not recognized really by any liberals. And then you look at just the last couple of days here in the United States, things that are perfectly constitutional and actually represent a representative government.
Yeah.
And this goes back to Scott Jennings going after Teray and that other professor going, what the hell are you talking about? This is an authoritative state. Well, because Trump's taking over the military.
Yeah.
That's what the executive branch, he's the commander-in-chief. Do you understand how it works? And they seem to be completely and totally clueless. And so they call a representative a constitutional republic where you have a representative government, and working through that process, they call that authoritative fascism when it's a party in power they don't like.
Right.
But when you see actions happening all across the free world that actually are what lead you to an authoritative fascist society, they ignore it and view it as good because we don't need to offend anybody. Why are you offending anyone out there?
Yeah.
And so it's good to see somebody like Turley. I knew Turley would recognize it because it shows you that he's, from what I don't know what his politics are now, but he was a lifelong Democrat. The same with Dershowitz. They see it.
Yep. Yeah.
And so I have no problem. The United States should promote what's in our Constitution, what's in our Bill of Rights, representative government, free speech, freedom of religion, freedom of the press. We should constantly, and we should be boastful about it. And if someone says, you shouldn't be pushing, no, you guys are the ones that are pushing. You're pushing people. You're the ones that are telling people what they can do and what they can't do. We wish to set up and always have a form of government where the people are the ones that decide what go on, not the elected bureaucrats, as the Democrats want now. But it's the people. And the United States should always promote freedom and liberty, and they should promote it loudly, and they should criticize those, especially those that have been in the free world, that don't wish to live by those rules and regulations anymore, that wish to punish people for free speech. And we've seen it in Canada, we've seen it in Great Britain now, and it's ridiculous. It is Orwellian what's going on.
Yeah.
It really, really is.
Yeah.
And it needs to stop, and the United States needs, and we need to promote with these, look, you're our ally, you continue down this path, you're not going to be an ally. We are not going to be close allies with governments that have a repressive regime and punish people for free speech. We're your friend now, and we wish to be your friend. You need to change direction. I have no problem with that whatsoever. We shouldn't tell other countries what to do. The hell we shouldn't when it comes to freedom and liberty and laws like what we have in the Bill of Rights.
Yep. Yeah, it's, look, to people like us, it's a given. Because they're further and further moving away from liberty and freedom. And we have, as a nation, given countless lives to defend it.
Yeah.
It's that simple. And if you're trying to take it away, it's something we fought against from the beginning. So if you're looking to take liberty from people, you're doing the opposite in terms of the interests of the United States. It does not get simpler than that. And if you don't have those same interests and you're an American, you're welcome to leave. See ya. You don't have to believe those things. That's the foundation of this nation.
By the way, Turley put on an example. He goes, we often discuss how defending free speech often means defending those who we find thoroughly grotesque or offensive. In that sense, Nicholas Brock, 52, is the ultimate personification of the price we pay for free speech. The neo-Nazi was given 4 years in jail in Great Britain for what the court called his toxic ideology based on the contents of the home he shared with his mother in Great Britain. In my view, the only thing more troubling than Brock's hateful views is the decision to criminalize the holding of such views. It is an example of the continued erosion of bright-line protections of free speech in the United Kingdom and other European countries. The judge said, quote, I do not sentence you for your political views, but the extremity of those views informs the assessment of dangerousness. What the hell does that even mean? That is a fine distinction that allows for sweeping criminalization of political viewpoints. When the police searched Brock's room, they found a chilling montage of hateful symbols. They included SS memorabilia, a Ku Klux Klan recognition certificate, as well as a picture of him in front of a swastika flag. They also searched his computer and found downloaded videos of ISIS beheadings and unedited video footage, film by the far-right terrorist Brenton Tarrant. In other words, Brock is a disgusting individual with Nazi and violent fantasies. However, he was charged under the nebulous criminal provisions used to punish those with offensive views rather than actions. Wow. Police charged him with 3 counts of possession of material likely to be used to a person committing or preparing a terrorist act. Wow. At least a judge had the honesty to make plain that Brock was being jailed for his views. Wow. Just amazing.
Wow.
I mean, it's going. I mean, it's in Great Britain. And by the way, that would be, you would look at that. That's one of the more radical things when you look at it, memes, transgender stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just, it crosses the board where you can be fined or go to jail.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. It's vastly different from the values that we've had as a nation from the beginning. And yet the left here in the United States wants to move more and more toward that. Well, that's a battle that we have to wage and have been waging from within. And changing hearts and minds in that regard is how you win. Well, when it comes to our allies, when it comes to anyone in the world, when you're moving further and further away from liberty and you are willing to punish people for speech, again, this nation, as a nation, has lost thousands in the battle to maintain freedom. Battles, wars, from the beginning, including the very first one. Don't think for a moment we're going to change that. If you're working against our interests, we don't have to be your ally. We certainly don't have to give you that kind of support. You're on your own. Good luck.
The interesting thing is, as Turley said, he goes, my striking thing is the judge made clear that it is harboring these views, not even disseminating them, not even sharing them or taking action on them. That's the crime.
Yeah.
It's harboring the views. He even said the degree of your devotion is indicated by your decision to cover your upper body and arms with tattoos and symbols associated with neo-Nazism, SS death head skulls, swastikas, and of individuals infamous in Hitler's Germany. So one of the other reasons he went to jail, his tattoos.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. Well,
by that standard, any of these Democrats, anti-Israel, anti-Semitism, they'd be in jail.
Well, yeah, actually,
the Democrats.
What's going on in my mind is how soon before it's the opposite. Showing your support for Israel is the crime if the left has their way.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Insane.
If you believe in the First Amendment, you're promoting hate speech, you go to jail.
Well, it's just...
Right?
Yes. Well, if you lie, according to Hillary, the same Hillary, you should go to prison.
Yeah. Both her and John Kerry making that point. We should be punishing speech, misinformation, lies.
Yeah, and they hide it behind the facade, this under the guise of, well, it's misinformation. Decides who? Who decides that?
Yeah.
Because we think that's misinformation. You're going to jail.
Right. The border is secure.
Right.
Put Mayorkas in jail.
Kamala wants to build a wall. Sorry, she has to go to prison.
Oh, yeah.
That was a lie. She didn't want to build a wall.
Why? Because that lie is self-evident.
Exactly. And Hillary herself, consecutive life terms, and I don't even know how many would be sufficient. A lot.
Because it seems like she's going to live forever.
Yeah, it does.
At least in Bill's mind.
Right. Oh, man, I'm telling you, Gary, you don't even know. You don't even know.
Oh, my gosh.
I mean, you don't even know.
Nobody knows the troubles I've seen. I can't even do Clinton anymore.
You don't feel my pain.
866-90 Red Eye.
Brought to you by Hot Shot Secret.
Hi, I'm Jen Loomis, a transport safety expert at JJ Keller, and I'm here to share a tip on speed and space management. When driving, you need to manage the space around your vehicle so that there's enough space to allow you to adjust when traffic conditions change. The space ahead of your vehicle is the most important and one of the easiest to monitor and adjust as needed. One rule of thumb is to allow at least 1 second for each 10 feet of vehicle length at speeds below 40 miles per hour. At greater speeds, add an additional second. It's impossible to keep other drivers from tailgating you, but there are some things you can do to make it safer, such as increasing your following distance, avoiding quick lane changes, and slowing down. There are also several things you should do to ensure that there is plenty of space between the side of your vehicle and other vehicles. Don't hug the center line, avoid hugging the right side of the road, And avoid traveling alongside other vehicles in strong winds, especially crosswinds. This tip was brought to you by JJ Keller and Associates. Visit us at jjkeller.com.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Well, what happened at the Washington Post this week when Jeff Bezos said, okay, we're going to be talking about, individual freedoms and free markets. We're going to make sure that's included in our opinion page, and everybody went bonkers. Everybody on the left went bonkers. Yeah. We'll get to that here in a little bit. What exactly did he write, and how did he write it? Just to let you know how radical the left is, and we'll give you an example based on CNN and that Stony Brook professor who said that we now live in an authoritarian fascist society.
Right.
Which, again, they can't make their case. They simply say it, and then they move on.
Right. Yeah.
The other thing is we brought to you yesterday the study. And here it is right here. Even the Service Employees International Union, the union that represents other things, food service workers are being forced to admit the truth of this economic principle. A study commissioned by the union shows that California's new $20 an hour minimum wage for fast food workers raised prices and may have cost over 10,000 jobs. Okay, so we get into all of that.
Right.
And additionally, food prices at local restaurants have increased by 14.5% since the legislation was signed, nearly double the national average. So we did that story for you yesterday.
Right.
This story comes out today. California's Fast Food Council agreed this week to consider hiking the industry's hourly minimum wage by another 70 cents, despite intense pushback from restaurant owners who say last year's massive wage increase is devastating their businesses. Now the businesses agree with that, and the unions agree with it. And now California, let's go raise the minimum wage more.
Right.
I mean, you can't make this. You can't make this up, which we're not.
They're not going to stop. They're not going to. Their agenda has been put into motion, you know?
Yep.
Once put into motion, it's not going to be reversed. And this is how they'll keep going. And they don't care in California.
As I said, the 25% fast food wage increase led to the fast food industry's and the restaurant industry's worst performing year in the state over the last 25 years outside the recession years. So there you go.
Listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
In Red Eye Radio, he's Eric Harley and I'm Gary McNamara. What a fascinating week it has been. Every week is a different fascinating week. I think I said that to you as we were leaving yesterday. It was funny. I know we were leaving yesterday. I looked at you. We were walking out to our cars. I looked at you. I said, "What day is it?"
Yeah. It didn't.
I go tomorrow.
Days don't feel like the days of. You know what I mean? You kind of have, because it all goes as one. It's one continuous day for us now, which is great. We don't mind that at all. But I mean, the other day, what was it? A couple of weeks ago, I'm out running errands, thinking it was Wednesday, and it was Tuesday. You and I had a common meeting scheduled for that day, which was actually the following day. But I'm thinking it's Wednesday, and the time came up. I looked I look down. I'm like, oh, man, I'm late for the meeting. And I'm texting you.
Scared the hell out of me.
Like what? Hey, is everyone going to get on the meeting? Or it's Tuesday.
Eric, it's Tuesday. That was so funny. But yeah, when I walked out yesterday, I said, is tomorrow Friday?
Yeah.
Because one show blends into another. They're not like separate shows anymore. We go, this is the Tuesday show. No, it's just a continuation that's going constantly. It just never ends.
Yeah.
But one of the things about this week is the return of the country under Trump is authoritarian. It's fascist. And the thing is, the left never has to explain anything. They simply throw out the charge. They don't back it up. They just simply throw out the charge, but they don't explain it. And if we said something was authoritarian and fascist, we'd have to explain specifically why. They don't. And let me give you an example here. This is, we played this yesterday, but this is one of the great audio cuts. This is Scott Jennings again with Teray, who used the former host of MSNBC, who always got caught saying wrong things. But here it is, as apparently he doesn't know, and I wish you could see the video, because he's looking at Scott Jennings like he has no idea that the president is actually over the military. Here it is.
The FBI, now we're in control of the military, silencing media. This is what you do in a dictatorship.
Are you suggesting that the president is not the commander-in-chief of the military?
I am suggesting that the president is going to put in charge somebody who is going to contravene the Constitution. And at some near point, this conversation will look very silly for you because it will be obvious. And right now, you're gaslighting. But when we get to the actual rubber of the road of this, it will be clear.
I'm interested in this conversation. He's going to put someone in charge who will contravene the Constitution. Like, who? What do you mean by that? The president is in charge of the military, is he not? You said he's going to put someone in charge of the military?
The president is in charge of the military. That is how it works.
She says it. You have to see his face. He's looking. He's like, what? Like, the president's in charge of the military?
Right.
What? You should see his face.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
yeah. He looks lost.
He looks completely lost, like he's just learning that the president is commander-in-chief.
Right.
And here he's on CNN as an expert and doesn't even know, apparently, that the president is commander-in-chief. Then we go back to the discussion about the Washington Post and what Bezos said, where he said, okay, we're going to be talking about free markets and individual rights. Is that controversial to anybody? We're going to have opinions that defend free markets and individual rights. Well, this is a guy by the name of Jeff Jarvis, professor at Stony Brook University, along with Teray, where he says we're in the middle of a totalitarian fascist coup. How? They don't have to this is a guy who teaches. Now, Teray's also part of this here, and they both say, well, the crawl should be constantly under CNN. Totalitarian fascist coup. How? I mean, they never have to.
Because we say so.
Because they never have to explain anything. Let's hear some of this back and forth.
Yeah.
Well, I'm interested in a couple of the comments you made. You said it was destroying the newspaper because they failed to endorse Kamala Harris. I mean, what does that say about a newspaper that you have to endorse a certain political party and for it?
That's not the way it happened. What happened was that the editorial board had an editorial done and ready, and that was the process.
Right.
And then suddenly to say, oh, now we're not going to endorse. They've endorsed other things since. It was the process by which it went under there. And there's other things going on. Constantly in the paper, I now use the hashtags Broken Times and Broken Post. The headlines in both papers, I think, are constantly off, constantly trying to soft pedal what's going on. You're not going to like what I'm saying next, but we are in the middle of a totalitarian fascist coup in this country. And when we don't call it that, when we soft pedal it, when we don't have a real discussion about it. At least here, I could say those words. We can have that discussion. But you will not see those words in the New York Times or the Washington Post.
So, Jeff, if we were being honest, there should be a breaking news banner on CNN and MSNBC all day long. We are in dictatorship right now.
I mean, how?
Yeah.
They say they never have the discussion when Scott Jennings, by the way, tried to have it a couple times this week. There's 5 people against him talking over him, so he can't get it out.
Right.
But all I have to do is go back to Stephen Miller and his sock puppet. Now, okay, the sock puppet came from Babylon B. It was hilarious, but it was a week ago when Stephen Miller said, apparently I'm going to have to explain to the press how a constitutional republic actually operates and what authority is given to the president, because you all seem completely and totally clueless about how our country runs.
Yeah.
And to sit there, and the funny thing is, he's like, this guy, what a joke. What a moron. What
a moron.
This Professor Jeff Jarvis at Stony Brook University, we're in the middle of a totalitarian fascist coup. How? Explain it now. When you had later on, because we played the second audio cut first, when you had Scott Jennings try to ask Ture about it, he said it's because the president of the United States will appoint someone who basically will attempt to overthrow the Constitution. Well, that's not happening now then.
Yeah, no.
He goes, how and who? And he couldn't answer it. He just looked at him like, And so they keep throwing it out, but the American public already dealt with that last year and said, no, that's not what's going on here. And you can't make that case because Trump is elected and Trump is allowed to do that. Now, let's go again. We go here to Governor Pritzker, who said the same thing. These are all the audio cuts. These are the talking points out now. We're in a fascist coup. You had Pritzker comparing the Trump administration to Nazi Germany and the Holocaust, and say it's the end of the constitutional republic. How? Well, at least he tries to give some answers that good God, it's like dealing with somebody in kindergarten who has no idea. I mean, Governor Pritzker does not know how the Constitution works by what he said here.
A very stark warning that you're delivering there. Obviously invoking the Holocaust, obviously invoking, a horrible, horrible thing that took the lives of ancestors of yours and ancestors of mine is evocative. I would also think it might be controversial. People might think, how can you possibly compare what happened in Germany in World War II to what's going on here in the United States?
Well, we're talking about the death of a constitutional republic. That's what happened in Germany in 1933, 1934. And we're seeing today that you've got an administration in Washington that's ignoring court orders.
Now, again, we went and we looked to see what court order, went to Google and said, what court order is Trump not following? We couldn't find one. Now, the only thing that we could see is a response to one of Trump's nominees who was asked the question, can you ever see yourself overruling, where you would overrule what a court says? And he brought up Dred Scott, where the Supreme Court, was eventually overturned on that because they were promoting slavery.
But he was alluding to a challenge down the road that might get it back to overturning a Supreme Court case, when he said that.
Right, but he was saying hypothetically what he might oppose in a court.
Right, and exactly. In court is my point, yeah. Because the left wants you to believe that he's just doing it as an authoritarian, that he's just going to do it as a dictator.
Well, he's not. Trump isn't doing it, but the question hypothetical from the nominee was, would you ever oppose it, not through court, but would you ever oppose a court ruling?
Right.
And he goes, yeah, if it was Dred Scott or something, or the internment of Japanese citizens, that's absolutely constitutional. Unconstitutional if a judge did that, we might fight that outside of court and not abide by that ruling. That's what he was saying, which is not a radical position to hold to any American.
Right.
But they took that as that because he answered that question that way. He goes, hypothetically, these are the things I might object to. And it was like, well, yeah, most Americans understand that, because that was completely. Courts can be unconstitutional. Courts can go against the Constitution. Judges are overturned all the time because the things that they do are unconstitutional. There is no perfect system where everybody is correct, or as we say, that judges and prosecutors never break the law.
Well, we're seeing it right now.
Right. Yeah, we see it. Exactly. So let's continue with Pritzker, because that one falls flat. Let's continue here. Here we go.
Literally ignoring when a judge says you can't do this, they're going ahead and doing it anyway. The question is, where does that stop? The courts don't have the ability to enforce their orders, and the president is supposed to obey them, but is not. So this is just one piece of a very long story that's developed over the last 6 weeks of the ignorance of constitutional norms and indeed disobeying the Constitution, announcing that we're going to do away with birthright citizenship. That's been established. Well, it's in the Constitution, for goodness sakes. So I really think people need.
And by the way, that has not been established.
Right. Right.
That has not been established.
No.
The whole birthright thing. So again, Trump has said they've made it. There's stories on it. Yep, we want to challenge everything because we believe that we want everything to go to court. In fact, that's what they're talking about. We want everything to go to court because we think we're going to win in court.
Right.
But as to, we went through and said, okay, we looked yesterday and spent a significant amount of time doing it. What court order is Trump not abiding by? And every single article written by the leftist media said, what if Trump doesn't do what a judge says?
Right.
What if, what
Right.
if, what if, what
Right.
if?
Right.
So it's really, really amazing, and Pritzker, good God, what an intellectual lightweight. Is his numbers, is his polling numbers anything close?
6.6%
to Johnson's yet in Chicago?
Yeah.
What an intellectual lightweight.
And
Seriously.
you just hit on something, the way that the liberals are phrasing it, and the liberal activist media too, on the Trump administration and and firing the people that were on probation.
Yeah.
And the judge that came out, and every headline was, yeah, it's probably against the law. Probably against the law. And I thought to myself, wait a minute. Why should we be? Because whether it's the judge that states that or the liberal activist media that phrases it that way, somebody clarify that for me. What do you mean? Probably. It either is or isn't based on either the interpretation of the judge or not.
Well, as we know, Biden outright said after the Supreme Court ruling, we're going to find ways not to follow what the Supreme Court said.
Yep.
He said it publicly.
And his old boss used to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Obama used to do it all the time.
It doesn't mean that you're heading towards Nazi Germany at all. But here it is. I just what Jeff Bezos wrote the other day about the Washington Post. I'm writing to let you know about a change coming to our opinion pages. We are going to be writing every day in support and defense of two pillars, personal liberties and free markets. We'll cover other topics too, of course, but viewpoints opposing those pillars will be published by others. There was a time when a newspaper, especially one that was a local monopoly, might have seen it as a service to bring to their readers' doorstep every morning, broad-based opinion section that sought to cover all views. Today, the internet does that job. I am of America and for America and proud to be so. Our country did not get here by being typical, and being a big part of America's success has been the freedom in the economic realm and everywhere else. Freedom is ethical. It minimizes coercion and practical. It drives creativity, invention, and prosperity. Whoa. Wow. It's just a publisher and an owner of a newspaper or radio station or TV station can promote whatever they wish.
Imagine that.
866-98 Red Eye.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. More insanity coming up.
This is Red Eye Radio.